The cold knock. The night was silent, but not peaceful. Cold wind moved through the empty streets, whistling between dark buildings. Streetlights flickered like they were tired of staying awake. Snow mixed with rain fell slowly, covering the ground in ice. Something small moved in the shadows. It was not human. A baby dragon, no bigger than a large dog, walked weakly between houses. His scales were dull and cracked. One of his wings dragged behind him, torn and bleeding. Every step hurt. Every breath burned his chest. He was cold. He was injured. And he was alone. The baby dragon stopped near a closed door. A warm yellow light glowed behind the window. He lifted his claw and knocked. No answer. The light turned off. The dragon lowered his head. He had seen this before. He moved to the next house. Knock. A woman looked through the window. Her eyes widened in fear. She screamed. The curtains closed fast. The door locked. The dragon flinched. His heart beat faster. Fear was familiar. Pain was normal. Hope was dangerous. He walked on. His vision blurred. Blood dripped onto the snow, turning it dark red. His body was getting heavier. His legs shook. Another house. Knock. A man shouted from inside. Go away. A metal sound followed. The door was sealed. The baby dragon fell to his knees. Cold wrapped around him like chains. His breath came out in short, weak clouds. The city smelled of metal and smoke. No forest. No sky. No warmth. He remembered fire. He remembered flying. He remembered his mother's roar shaking the mountains. Now, there was only silence. The dragon forced himself up. One last house stood at the end of the street. Old. Small. The paint was cracked. The porch light was broken. No light inside. No sound. The dragon almost turned away. Humans were dangerous. Humans hunted. Humans hurt. But he had no strength left. Slowly, he walked to the door. His claw trembled as he knocked. Tap! Tap! The sound was weak. Almost nothing. The dragon leaned against the door. His body slid down. His eyes closed. Inside the house, a man sat alone at a small table. His name was Ethan. Ethan lived a quiet life. Too quiet. No family. No visitors. No messages. The world had moved on without him, and he had stopped chasing it. Tonight was like every other night. Cold food, silent room, old memories. Then he heard it. A soft sound. A knock. Ethan frowned. No one ever came here. This street was almost empty. He stood up slowly. His joints ached. He grabbed his coat and walked to the door. Another sound. Tap. Probably kids, he muttered. He opened the door. At first, he saw nothing. Then he looked down. A small creature lay against his door, covered in snow and blood. Scales shimmered faintly under the streetlight. A broken wing twitched. Ethan froze. His heart stopped. Dragon, he whispered. The dragon's eyes opened. They were glowing faint blue. For a moment, both of them stared at each other. Human and dragon. Two worlds meeting in silence. The dragon expected screaming. He expected pain. He expected death. Instead, the human knelt down. Oh my God, you're freezing, Ethan said softly. The dragon tried to move, but his body refused. A weak sound escaped his throat. Not a roar, a cry. Ethan swallowed hard. Fear ran through him, but something stronger followed it. Pity, care. He took off his coat and gently placed it over the dragon. It's okay, Ethan said, though he didn't know why. I won't hurt you. The dragon's eyes widened slightly. He didn't understand the words, but he felt the tone. Warm, kind. Sirens sounded far away. Ethan looked up. His face turned pale. They're searching again, he whispered. He looked down at the dragon, then at the street, then back at the dragon. This was dangerous, illegal, insane, but he had already made his choice. Ethan lifted the baby dragon carefully and pulled him inside. He closed the door and locked it. The cold stayed outside. The baby dragon rested his head on the human's arm. For the first time since the fire and the screams, he felt something new. Safety. Outside, the wind howled, and far above the city, unseen eyes turned toward that small, broken house. A choice that should not exist. The door closed with a quiet click. The cold was locked outside. Inside the small house, silence returned, but it felt different now. Heavier. Alive. Ethan stood still, holding the baby dragon in his arms. The creature was lighter than he expected. Too light, like something that had not eaten in days. The dragon's body shook. His scales were cold to the touch. His breathing was weak and uneven. Ethan moved fast. He placed the dragon gently on the old couch. He grabbed blankets, every one he owned, and wrapped the small body carefully. The torn wing lay at an unnatural angle. Blood had dried between broken scales. Ethan's hands trembled. "I don't know how to help you," he whispered, "but I won't let you die." The dragon watched him. Humans usually shouted. Humans usually hurt. Humans never touched gently. This one did. Ethan went to the kitchen and filled a bowl with warm water. He brought cloth, medicine, and tape. Not dragon tools. Human tools. Weak tools. Still, he tried. When the cloth touched the wound, the dragon flinched. A low sound escaped his throat. Not anger. Fear. "I'm sorry," Ethan said quickly. "I know it hurts." The dragon slowly stopped moving. He allowed it. Outside, a deep mechanical hum passed over the house. Ethan froze. Drones. He rushed to the window and pulled the curtain slightly. A black shape moved across the clouds, red lights blinking slowly. Searching. Ethan's chest tightened. "They're hunting again," he muttered. He looked back at the dragon. That thing outside wasn't searching for him. It was searching for this. The dragon lifted his head weakly. His eyes locked onto Ethan's face. For a second, something ancient looked back at him. Something far older than cities or machines. The dragon tried to speak. Only a broken sound came out. Ethan leaned closer. "It's okay. Don't talk. Save your strength." The dragon's claw twitched and touched Ethan's hand. Warm. A sudden flash filled Ethan's mind. Fire. Sky. Screams. Dragons falling from the air, hit by bright weapons. Steel ships tearing through clouds. A massive roar cut short by explosions. Ethan gasped and stumbled back. "What was that?" he whispered. The dragon closed his eyes. The vision ended. Ethan understood one thing clearly. This baby was not just injured. He was running. A loud knock hit the door. Ethan's heart jumped. "Open up," a voice shouted. "Security check." The dragon's eyes snapped open. Fear flooded them. Ethan moved without thinking. He lifted the dragon and rushed toward the basement door. It was old, hidden behind shelves. He opened it and climbed down quickly. "Stay quiet," he whispered. The dragon pressed himself close to Ethan's chest. Heavy footsteps sounded upstairs. The front door rattled. "Sir, open the door now." Ethan stepped out of the basement and closed it softly. He took a deep breath and walked to the door. "Yes," he said, forcing calm into his voice. Two armored officers stood outside. Their helmets glowed faintly. Behind them, a drone hovered, scanning. "We detected a non-human life signal in this area," one officer said. "Have you seen anything unusual?" Ethan shrugged. "No, just me. Same as always." The drone moved closer. Ethan's pulse hammered. The machine stopped, paused, then beeped once. "No signal detected," the officer said after a moment. They turned away. Ethan closed the door and locked it. His knees nearly gave out. He ran back to the basement. The dragon lay where he left him, shaking but alive. "You're safe," Ethan whispered. The dragon looked at him, confused. Safe was not a word he knew. Ethan sat beside him. "They're afraid of you," he said quietly. "But they don't know you." The dragon slowly lifted his head. With great effort, he formed a sound. "Human." Ethan froze. "You can talk." The dragon swallowed. "Human help." Those two broken words hit harder than any scream. Ethan nodded slowly. "Yes," he said. "I will." Above them, the drone turned back toward the city. And far beyond the clouds, something ancient stirred. The baby dragon had been found. But more importantly, he had been chosen. The mark that humans should never see. The basement smelled of dust and oil. A single bulb flickered above, throwing long shadows across the walls. Old boxes, broken tools, forgotten things from forgotten life. Ethan sat on the cold floor, watching the baby dragon sleep. The dragon's chest rose and fell slowly. Alive. Ethan let out a breath he did not know he was holding. Then the dragon shivered. His scales began to glow. At first, it was soft, a faint blue light under the skin. Then the light spread, moving across his body like fire under ice. Ethan stood up slowly. "What's happening to you?" he whispered. The dragon cried out in pain. His small body twisted. The torn wings shook violently. Suddenly, symbols burned into the dragon's scales. Not scars, marks, ancient shapes, sharp and glowing, forming a pattern across his chest and neck. Ethan stepped back. No, he whispered. The air grew heavy. The basement walls vibrated. Tools rattled on shelves. The light bulb burst with a sharp crack, leaving only blue light behind. Then, the dragon opened his eyes. They were no longer blue. They were gold. A deep voice echoed in Ethan's mind. Blood recognized. Ethan fell to his knees. He pressed his hands over his ears, but the voice was inside him. Lineage confirmed. The dragon's body lifted off the ground slightly, surrounded by glowing energy. Ethan's heart pounded. Fear screamed at him to run, but he didn't. The voice spoke again. The air lives. The energy vanished. The dragon collapsed. Silence returned, thick and crushing. Ethan crawled forward. Hey, stay with me. The dragon's eyes slowly faded back to blue. He looked smaller again, weaker, but the marks remained. Ethan stared at them. Royal markings. He had seen them once, on a screen during the old news days. A short clip before it was erased. Dragon royalty. His stomach turned cold. You're not just any dragon, he whispered. The dragon blinked slowly. Hunter coming. Ethan stiffened. What? The dragon struggled to breathe. Mark called him. Ethan looked at the glowing symbols again. A beacon. A signal. A target. Above the city, alarms began to scream. Red lights flashed across distant towers. Ethan ran upstairs and turned on the old radio. Emergency alert. Unidentified energy surge detected. All units respond. They know. Ethan whispered. The dragon cried out again. The marks burned brighter. Ethan grabbed a blanket and wrapped the dragon tightly, trying to hide the glow. I won't let them take you, he said, his voice shaking. I don't care who you are. The dragon looked at him. For a moment, he smiled. A sound at the house. Not a knock. A thud. The windows shook. Ethan grabbed a metal bar from the wall and stood in front of the basement door. Footsteps echoed outside. Heavy. Metal. Then a new sound filled the air. Not human. A deep roar. Far away, shaking the sky itself. Ethan froze. The dragon's eyes widened. Kin, he whispered. The roar answered again, closer now. Above the clouds, massive shapes moved. Not drones. Not ships. Dragons. Ethan laughed once, sharp and broken. Great. Of course. The house lights went out. The city went dark. And every human weapon in the sky turned upward. The baby dragon was no longer hiding. He was calling, and the world was about to answer. When humans choose to stand, the city went dark. Not slowly, not piece by piece. All at once. Street lights died. Towers vanished into shadow. Only red emergency lights remained, blinking like warning eyes. Ethan stood in his doorway, holding the metal bar with both hands. Above the city, the sky moved. Clouds twisted unnaturally. The air vibrated with deep sounds, like thunder that never ended. People ran into the streets, shouting, pointing upward. Then the first shadow passed over the moon. Huge, winged, alive, a dragon. More followed. Their scales reflected firelight and lightning. Each wing beat shook the ground. Windows shattered. Alarms screamed across the city. Ethan felt fear wrap around his chest. The baby dragon cried from the basement. Ethan turned and ran down the stairs. I'm here, he said quickly. I'm not leaving. The dragon's markings glowed brighter than ever. The walls around him cracked. Dust fell from the ceiling. The dragon lifted his head. They come for me. Ethan nodded. Then they'll have to go through me first. The dragon stared. No human had ever said that. A loud voice boomed outside, amplified by machines. This house contains dragon property. Step away. Ethan clenched his jaw. Property. He stepped outside. The street was filled with soldiers in black armor. Energy weapons aimed at his house. Drones hovered like metal insects. "You are mistaken," Ethan said loudly. "There's a child in there." A soldier laughed. "That thing is not a child." The sky roared again. The dragon circled above, watching, waiting. Ethan raised the metal bar and planted his feet. "Then why are you afraid of it?" he asked. Silence followed. The commander stepped forward. "Last warning. Move." Ethan did not move. The baby dragon climbed the stairs behind him, weak but determined. His small body trembled. Gasps spread through the soldiers. The dragon pressed himself against Ethan's leg. Fear filled his eyes. Ethan placed a hand on the dragon's head. "It's okay," he said. The dragon's glow changed. Blue turned white. A sudden wave of energy burst outward. Soldiers were thrown back. Drones crashed into the ground. Weapons shut down. The commander fell to his knees. Above, the dragons roared together. Not in anger, in respect. A massive dragon descended slowly, landing at the far end of the street. His scales were ancient and scarred. His eyes burned gold. The soldiers backed away. The great dragon lowered his head. "Why does a human stand for the air?" the voice thundered. Ethan swallowed hard. His legs shook, but he stayed standing. "Because he was alone," Ethan said. "And because someone once stood for me." The great dragon studied him. The baby dragon stepped forward. "Safe with him," he said softly. The great dragon closed his eyes. The sky went silent. Then, all dragon weapons powered down. The great dragon bowed. The soldiers stared in shock. The commander whispered, "Impossible." Ethan exhaled slowly. He had no idea what tomorrow would bring. But tonight, a human had stood, and the universe had noticed. The power they tried to bury. The street was silent. Not peaceful. Terrified. Soldiers stood frozen, weapons useless in their hands. The great dragon remained still, watching everything with ancient eyes. Above, the other dragons circled slowly, like judges waiting for a final word. Ethan stood in front of the baby dragon. He did not feel brave. He felt afraid, but he did not move. The baby dragon suddenly screamed, not in fear, in pain. His markings burned bright white. The ground cracked under his claws. Windows shattered again. A wave of heat rolled through the street. The great dragon's eyes widened. "The seal is breaking," he roared. Ethan turned. "What does that mean?" The great dragon lowered his head. "It means they hurt him too much." The baby dragon collapsed. Ethan caught him before he hit the ground. No, stay with me," Ethan said desperately. The dragon's body shook violently. His wings spread wide. Energy burst from him in pulses, knocking soldiers flat and sending cars flying. The sky darkened. Clouds twisted into a massive spiral above the city. Lightning struck the ground around the house. The soldiers panicked. "Fire everything," someone screamed. Before Ethan could react, a weapon discharged. A bright beam hit the baby dragon. Time stopped. The dragon screamed. Something inside him broke. The beam vanished, absorbed. Then the air exploded. A massive shock wave blasted outward. Every human weapon shut down instantly. Drones fell like dead birds. Armor cracked open. Ethan was thrown back, but a glowing barrier formed around him and the dragon. He stared in shock. The baby dragon rose into the air. His wounds closed. His scales changed, darker, stronger, edged with glowing gold lines. His eyes burned like twin suns. The small dragon was gone. Something older stood in his place. The great dragon dropped to one knee. The true heir awakens. The soldiers stared in horror. "This wasn't possible," the commander whispered. The baby dragon opened his mouth. Fire poured out, not wild, not burning, but controlled, shaped like a symbol in the air. Every dragon in the sky answered with a roar. Ethan shielded his eyes. The dragon turned and looked at him. His voice was calm now. Clear. "Human Ethan, you did not run." Ethan swallowed. Someone had to stay. The dragon stepped closer. "I was bound," he said. "My power buried. My memory sealed. They hunted me while I slept." The great dragon spoke. Humans feared what they could not control. The baby dragon nodded. But one human chose to protect. He placed a claw gently on Ethan's chest. Warmth flowed through Ethan's body. His pain vanished. His fear faded. "You saved more than me," the dragon said. "You saved what we could become." The soldiers fell to their knees. The commander dropped his helmet. "We didn't know," he said weakly. The baby dragon looked at him. "I know," he replied. The sky rumbled again, but this time, not in anger. In warning. "This world stands in a line," the dragon said. "One step, and it burns. One step, and it rises." He turned back to Ethan. "You opened a door," he said softly. "Now the universe is watching." Above them, the clouds parted. Stars appeared, and something far greater than dragons began to move. When the world is judged, the stars did not move gently. They shifted, one by one. Points of light in the sky bent and stretched, as if space itself was being pulled open. The air above the city vibrated with a deep, endless hum. Every human on the street felt it. A pressure in the chest, a warning in the bones. Ethan looked up, his heart pounding. That doesn't look good. The awakened dragon stood beside him, calm and tall, his golden eyes fixed on the sky. "They have arrived," he said. From the torn stars, shapes emerged. Not dragons, not ships, something else. Massive structures of light and metal slid into view, silent and perfect. Rings of energy rotated around them. Symbols burned across their surfaces, old, unreadable, powerful. The soldiers whispered in fear. "What are those?" The great dragon lowered his head. "The Watchers," he said. "They decide which worlds live." Ethan's stomach dropped. The sky darkened as a voice echoed everywhere. Inside heads, inside hearts. World designation, Earth. Status, unstable. People screamed. Some fell to their knees. Others ran, though there was nowhere to go. The voice continued. Dragon interference confirmed. Human hostility logged. Verdict pending. Ethan clenched his fists. "They're judging us like we're nothing." The awakened dragon nodded. "To them, most worlds are." A beam of white light dropped from the sky, striking the street in front of the house. The ground melted into smooth glass. A figure formed inside the light. Tall, thin, not quite solid. No face, only eyes. "Present the air," the figure commanded. The soldiers stepped back instantly. The great dragon growled, fire building in his throat. "No," Ethan said suddenly. Every head turned toward him. Ethan stepped forward, his legs shaking, but his voice steady. "You don't get to take him." The Watcher's eyes shifted to him. Human life form identified. Status irrelevant. Ethan swallowed. "Maybe to you, not to him." The awakened dragon looked down at Ethan. "Human, this may cost your world." Ethan met his gaze. "Then let it cost me first." Silence fell. The Watcher paused. Anomaly detected. The awakened dragon stepped forward, standing beside Ethan, not in front. "Judgment without understanding is not justice," the dragon said calmly. "You saw our power, but did you see his choice?" The Watcher's eyes flickered. Images appeared in the air. A cold night. A small dragon bleeding. A human opening a door. The Watcher spoke again. "Why did you protect the air?" Ethan answered without thinking. "Because he was hurt. Because he was alone. Because someone had to care." The street shook. The Watcher's form wavered. Emotional logic detected. The great dragon lifted his head. "This is what you missed." Dragons across the sky lowered their wings. Weapons powered down. The Watcher looked at the human, then at the dragon, then at the city. Recalculating. Seconds felt like years. Finally, the voice returned, different now. Slower. World status. Undecided. A collective breath was released. The awakened dragon placed a claw on Ethan's shoulder. "You have done what armies could not," he said quietly. Ethan laughed once, nervous and tired. Yet no pressure. The Watcher's light began to fade. "This world will be observed. The door you opened remains." The stars slowly returned to normal. But everyone knew the truth. Earth had not been saved. Not yet. It had been given a chance. The door that changed two worlds. Morning came slowly. Not with sunshine, but with silence. The city still stood. Buildings were broken. Streets were cracked. But the sky was clear, blue, and quiet. No alarms. No weapons firing. No dragons roaring. People stepped outside carefully, afraid the world might break again. Ethan stood on his porch. He looked tired, older, like someone who had seen the universe blink back at him. Beside him stood the dragon. Not the small, injured baby anymore. Not fully ancient either. Something in between. Balanced. The great dragons hovered above the city, wings folded, waiting. Soldiers stood far away, unsure what to do. No one dared to speak. The awakened dragon turned to Ethan. "The Watchers have withdrawn," he said, "but they will return one day." Ethan nodded. "They always do." The dragon looked at him with something close to a smile. "You were never meant to stand here," the dragon said. "Yet you did." Ethan shrugged. "I opened a door. That's all." The dragon's eyes softened. "No," he replied. "You open a path." The great dragon leader descended and bowed his massive head toward Ethan. The ground shook gently. "Human," the ancient voice said, "you stood where armies fled." People gasped. No human had ever received such respect. The leader continued. "By our law, a life debt is owed." Ethan frowned. "I don't want payment." The leader's eyes glowed warmly. "Then accept a promise." The awakened dragon stepped forward. "Earth will not be hunted," he said. "Not by dragons. Not by those who fear us. Your world will be guarded." Murmurs spread through the crowd. Ethan exhaled slowly. "That's good." The dragon hesitated. "There is more." Ethan looked up. "My place is no longer here," the dragon said softly. "I must go. My kind needs me." Ethan felt something tighten in his chest. "Oh," he said. "Right. Of course." The dragon studied his face. "You sound disappointed." Ethan smiled weakly. "Guess I got used to not being alone." The dragon was quiet for a long moment. Then he did something no dragon had done before. He bowed to Ethan. "Come with me," he said. The crowd froze. Ethan blinked. "Come where?" "Beyond your sky," the dragon answered. "As my kin. As my voice. As proof." Ethan laughed nervously. "I'm just a man with a broken house." "And yet," the dragon replied, "you faced judgment and did not kneel." Silence followed. Ethan looked at his house. The door. The same door that had changed everything. He touched it once. Then he turned back. "Someone has to teach you dragons how doors work," he said. The dragon smiled fully this time. The sky opened. Light poured down, warm and calm. The dragons rose together, filling the air with wind and sound. As Ethan stepped forward, people watched in awe. A human walked into legend. Before leaving, Ethan turned back one last time. "Hey," he called to the soldiers, to the city, to the world. "Be kind," he said. "You never know who's knocking." Then he was gone. The dragons vanished into the sky. The city slowly returned to life. Years passed. Stories spread. Children spoke of the human who opened the door, of the dragon who became king, of a night Earth almost burned and didn't. Far across the stars, a human voice echoed among dragons. And whenever a world stood at the edge of destruction, they remembered, not weapons, not power, but a door, and the courage to open it.